How you doing? As you guys can see, I'm staying out here in a tent right now. As multiple families kind of piggyback on top of each other, independent space becomes a necessity. So, real quick, this kind of set this up outside so I could kind of have some time and be able to spend by myself, and read. And it's real difficult to be alone when you have multiple families sharing a domicile. And one of the things I've been thinking about is how, a lot of people, the question is, how are we going to live? How are we going to get through this coming depression? As, Citigroup, I think, laid off an additional 50,000 employees. You got the post office laying off 40,000 people. I mean, there's going to be massive layoffs coming from multiple industries all over the board in the next couple months. And, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a heads up of some of the things I've been going through, and it might give you a hint of what's going to happen in the future. You're going to see a large amount of people being foreclosed upon and having to, move in with other family, and there's going to be a lot of strife, a lot of, upheaval, emotional upheaval. And you're going to be seeing more things like this. People staying in tents, people living out of their cars, different things of that sort. But I'm actually living what some of you are going to go through. So what we're going to see in certain parts of the country, for example, DHL is closing all its hubs basically in America. And there's entire cities that are based upon one manufacturer or one service provider, and those cities will be ghost towns. If the big three go under, you're going to see parts of Detroit that are just abandoned. That's happening here in Southern California. There's places in Southern California that are becoming ghost towns that were selling houses for $300,000, $400,000. Now you can get houses for under $100,000, almost brand new housing. And these are houses that are an hour, 2 hours away from the employment centers of Southern California. So what we're seeing is, people, small families that are living out in the suburbs, that they're getting foreclosed upon, and they're having to move towards the city center or more towards an urban area where maybe their grandparents live or where their parents live, and they're having to double up in housing. And that's some of the things we're seeing out here. And along with that, when mom and dad and the kids have to stay with grandma and grandpa or with an aunt and uncle in the situation, it's stressful. It's stressful because personalities clash, and you end up in situations like this where you have to, live out of a shed in the backyard or in a tent. So we've seen huge growth in the suburbs in America. We're going to start seeing a depopulation of the suburbs, and that's going to happen nationwide. And we were at our local retail shopping center, and I think you're going to see a whole change in the way we approach products. Americans are going to look at more durability issues and items that can be repaired and that last a long time, and you're going to see less novelty items where people are interested in just because they're new or they're the newest thing. So you're going to see entire retail outlets close and being replaced by interesting things like used store outlets, used clothing chains. And then this is something I've been thinking about a lot, and with this coming depression, and maybe the internet will shed some light on this, but it's going to be what we call an invisible depression, meaning when people lose their jobs and they start to go through economic turmoil or strife, a lot of the times they turtle in, they become more private in their affairs and less public. And this kind of leads to what we've been seeing in the news with isolation of families, and that gentleman who committed suicide. When people go through economic struggles, they don't like to share that with their friends, family, and the public. A lot of times that's left inward. So we're going to see a lot more isolation in families and people going through economic depression. There's going to be less involvement in the church. There's less involvement in the local clubs, less involvement in the PTA. Everybody is hunkering down. They're pulling in. It basically means you drive less you shop less, you eat out less, and you're doing everything at home. You know, with this crush of people living together, you know, there's probably going to be more domestic violence, more mental disorders. Of course, suicide rates are going up. Marriage rates will go down. People will be less likely to be married because it's just more economic struggles. Birth rates are going to go down. I mean, who wants to have a baby in these times? And this will be interesting. During recessions, divorce rates go up because of you know, economic issues. But during a depression, a severe depression, divorce rates actually go down because, you know, you basically need each other. So people have a tendency not to get divorced during a depression. And there's a gentleman, Grant McCracken, who is at MIT, and he studies consumer behavior, and he's basically saying the same things, is that there's two types of consumerism. There's surging and there's dwelling. And right now, for the past 5 years, we've had a surging consumer type of behavior. It means we're interested in new features, new things, new opportunities, new things that add excitement. Now we're in a dwelling type of consumer pattern where everything is not going to be the brand new. I mean, we're going to look at things that learn how to appreciate things that are closer to home. So I guess one of the reasons why I was doing this video is just to kind of share with you guys that, you know, we're all going to be struggling. I don't think it's going to be the point where we're going to actually see starvation, but we're all going to be turtling, we're all going to be huddling in, and there's going to be less of a public sphere. But at the same token, you know, we have the internet that can let us communicate and let us share what some of the things we're going through, and I think that's a good thing, because I think when people understand that they're not the only ones going through hard times, there's other people going through hard times, it makes it more easier for us to digest and to get through. So anyways, guys, hang in there. I'll keep on letting you know what's going on with me, and take care. God bless.